It started the way all disappointing things start, with a Craigslist ad. Now hiring remote call center agents. No experience needed. Weekly pay. I had no job, no prospects, and exactly $14 to my name. So I applied. The interview lasted 8 minutes. They hired me on the spot and emailed login instructions, a company handbook, and a Zoom link for Vibe onboarding. The company was called Open Echo. The logo was a circle with waves coming out of it, like a podcast, but less promising. My role? Answer calls, follow the script, and never, under any circumstances, deviate from protocol. I thought it'd be telemarketing. I was wrong. My first day started with a woman named Candace, who looked like she used to manage a yoga studio and now controlled small empires. We value alignment, she said, and presence, and sticking to the call flow. Then she hit a gong. Literally. It echoed in my earbuds like regret. I logged in, took a few calls. Most were quick, weird, and ended abruptly. Welcome to Open Echo. This is Ben. How can I assist you? Was the only line I ever got to say. One guy said it's done, then hung up. Another said 7 sparrows flew west, and waited. I said, okay, thank you. And he hung up. No one tried to sell me anything. No one asked for anything. It was just phrases. Nonsense. At lunch, I messaged Candace. Hey, what are these calls for? She replied, just stay in flow. Meaning will come. I hated that. But I needed the money. So I stayed. And on day 3, something changed. I got a call that didn't follow the pattern. A woman said, Ben, is that you? I froze. No one had ever said my name before I introduced myself. Yes. I don't have much time, she said. But you need to know, what you're doing isn't what you think it is. I laughed nervously. Okay. She was breathless. Check your call logs. The pattern, it's all coded. They're using you. Click. The line went dead. I stared at my screen, heart pounding, pretending to sip coffee I hadn't made. I pulled up my call history, and slowly, it started to make sense. The phrases, the timing, the way calls were spaced. It wasn't gibberish. It was a sequence, a pattern. I didn't know what for yet, but I knew one thing. I couldn't quit now, and I definitely couldn't go back to just reading the script. So I started tracking every call manually. And on day 4, I found my first clue taped under my desk. That's when I knew I was in way deeper than I thought. The note was handwritten in red pen on a torn piece of receipt paper. It read, not everyone is real. Trust the ones who hesitate. That's it. No signature, no explanation. I read it 5 times before folding it back up and slipping it into my wallet like it was a fortune cookie that had ruined my life. Who put it there? When? And what did it mean? Not everyone is real. Was I working with bots? Actors? Government lizards? I didn't know, but I couldn't exactly ask Candace. So I went back to the call logs. I started categorizing every phrase by tone, pitch, and oddness. The pelican is in flight showed up 3 times. So did phase 3 approaches. I didn't know what it meant, but it felt like a breadcrumb. That afternoon, I got a call from someone new. Young voice. Nervous. Ben, I only have 30 seconds. You're being monitored. Okay, I replied. I can help you, but not here. They whispered. Leave your laptop open at 11:58 p.m. tonight. I'll send instructions. Then they hung up. That night, I sat at my desk, laptop open, palms sweaty like I was about to download a conspiracy. At 11:58, a file appeared on my desktop. Just appeared. No email, no message. It was called EchoMap.docs. My hands shook opening it. Inside was a diagram. A circular flowchart with call phrases at each point. Arrows between them. And in the center, my name, Ben Anchor Node. I stared at it like it might bite me. Anchor Node? What did that mean? Was I part of the system? The source? A target? Just then, my lights flickered. My phone buzzed. One new message. They know you're looking. Don't stop now. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. But by morning, I had a plan. I was going to figure this out, even if I had to answer every weird call in the system, one by one, phrase by phrase, until the truth spilled out of the static. On day 5, I made a discovery that rattled me more than any cryptic message could. One of the voices, I recognized it. The phrase was "the bird returns to the shelf," said in a monotone drawl I could never forget. I went to college with that voice. Evan, my old roommate who once lived on serial and conspiracy podcasts. I hadn't spoken to him in years, but I'd recognize his paranoid cadence anywhere. I dug through my contact list, found his number, and texted, "Are you working for Open Echo?" No reply. Instead, I got a call from Candace within 5 minutes. "Ben," she said sweetly, "we value alignment." That phrase again. "Your recent activity has raised a few concerns." "Like what?" I asked. "Like deviation, curiosity, inquiry outside your flow." "I'm just trying to understand the mission," I said. Silence. Then she spoke slower. "Understanding isn't your role. Presence is." She hung up. I minimized my browser and stared at my reflection in the dark screen. Was I unraveling? Or was I finally seeing clearly? That night, I went to Evan's old apartment. It wasn't far. I knocked. A different guy answered. "Evan?" I asked. The guy shook his head. "Moved out months ago. Weird dude. Left this behind." He handed me a manila envelope with Open Echo written in Sharpie. Inside were dozens of note cards. Phrases. Arrows. Names. Mine included. I wasn't the first person Evan tracked, and I wasn't the only one being watched. I hurried home, spread the cards across my floor, and noticed something. The phrases weren't random. They were call signs. Instructions. And whoever followed the flow exactly wasn't just taking calls, they were passing coded messages. Somewhere, something bigger was unfolding. I went to bed, but couldn't sleep. Not because of the mystery anymore, because I was beginning to like the game. Day 6 started with silence. No calls. Just a blinking cursor and a queasy feeling in my gut. I tapped the desk, checked my messages. Nothing. Then, at 10:43 a.m., a single call came through. I answered. "Welcome to Open Echo. This is Ben. How can I assist you?" Silence on the other end. Then breathing. "Ben," the voice said. It was Evan. "You need to get out. It's not what you think." "I know," I whispered. "You left clues. They're on to you. If you're still getting calls, you're useful. But if they stop, click." Line went dead. I stared at the screen, heart thudding. What did that mean? Was today a warning or a countdown? At lunch, I stepped away to get some air. When I came back, my call log had been wiped clean. Every entry, gone. Even the system logs were blank. I opened echomap.docs. It was altered. The nodes were blinking now. One by one, they were fading until only mine remained. Ben, anchor node. The center of everything. Or the last target. A ping from my inbox snapped me back. New message. End of cycle briefing. Mandatory. A video file was attached. I opened it. Candace appeared, seated in front of the gong. "Some of you have completed your roles," she said. "Some will move on. Some will dissolve." She smiled. "Thank you for your energy." The video ended. My cursor blinked. The screen went dark. Then lit up with one line. "Your presence is no longer required." That was it. No more access. No more system. Just me, my laptop, and a growing sense that I'd been the puzzle all along. I stared at the dark screen, heart racing like it knew something I didn't. Your presence is no longer required. It felt final. Like getting fired by a ghost. I tried logging in again, but everything had been reset. New welcome screen. No login recognized. I was locked out of the system. Just like that, Open Echo had ghosted me. And I'd never even gotten paid. My inbox was empty, my Slack channels silent. It was like I'd never worked there at all. Except I had. My walls were covered in notes and diagrams. I still had Evan's envelope. I still had the Echo map. And I still had questions. I called Evan's number again. No answer. I emailed the address the file had come from. It bounced back. I wasn't scared, exactly. Just unfinished. The story had kicked me out before the ending. So I did the only thing I could. I went back to the beginning. I called the Open Echo hiring number. It rang 6 times. Then someone answered. "This is Site 12. Who's calling?" The voice was calm. Professional. I hesitated. "It's Ben. I used to be part of, the system." Silence. Then, "Hold, please." Click. Soft music played. Then another voice came on. One I hadn't heard in days. "Ben," Candace said. "We hoped you'd call. Why did you shut me out?" I asked. "Because you stopped flowing," she replied. "You wanted meaning. We needed presence." "I want answers," I said. "Then come in person," she said. "Some doors only open when you knock." She gave me an address. Downtown. I stared at it for a long time before grabbing my coat. If this was the end, I wanted to see it for myself. I got on the train. I rode through 3 neighborhoods and 40 different scenarios in my mind. I found the address. It wasn't an office. It was a laundromat, called Cycle Complete. I walked in. The machines were humming. An old man handed me a key. Booth 7, he said. No coins needed. I opened the booth. Inside, a chair, a headset, and a screen. It lit up when I sat. Candace appeared again. Welcome back, Ben. Let's begin. The screen flickered, then showed a split view. On one side, a live map pulsing with glowing nodes. On the other, a list of names. My name was highlighted. Candace's voice was calm but firm. Ben, what you were part of was never a job. It was a test. You were a signal, broadcasting curiosity, pulling patterns. And you passed. Passed what? I asked. Awareness, she said simply. You're not just the anchor node. You're the one who asked why. I didn't know whether to feel honored or insulted. So what is Open Echo? Some kind of tech cult? She smiled faintly. We're a filter. A magnet for patterns. Some people hang up. Some read the script. A few trace the signal. I shook my head. That's still not an answer. She leaned forward on the screen. There's a network, Ben, of ideas. Hidden messages. Movements too big to see directly. We collect the fragments. And when someone like you connects enough of them, we open a door. My mouth was dry. What's through the door? That depends on what you're willing to risk, she said. Just then, the booth clicked. The wall behind the screen opened slightly, revealing a staircase leading down. I looked at the screen. Candace nodded once. Only those who choose to keep going find what they're looking for. The headset buzzed, then went dark. I stood up. My legs felt heavier than they should. I stepped through the opening. The stairs creaked. At the bottom was a hallway lined with corkboards, string maps, and handwritten notes like the ones I'd made. I wasn't the first. I might not even be the 100th. But something told me I was closer to the truth than ever. I kept walking. The hallway opened into a dimly lit room that felt more like a war room than an office. Giant monitors showed live feeds of phone calls, maps, and blinking dots like tracking devices. A few people moved around quietly, eyes fixed on their screens, headphones on. No one looked surprised to see me. A woman with silver braids handed me a lanyard. It had no name, just a black badge with a pulsing dot. Welcome to Layer 2, she said. We've been watching your threads. I followed her to a terminal. You were part of Phase Echo, she explained. Call harvesting. We collect raw phrasing to locate sentiment anomalies. You found a loop. A recursive phrase cycle. That means breach. Breach of what? I asked. She tapped the monitor. It showed a rotating globe dotted with red signals. Of reality, she said. I blinked. You're joking. She wasn't. What you heard on those calls, those weren't just weirdos. They were echoes. Replicas. A test to see who could distinguish the real from the programmed. She turned to me. You passed. I looked at the screen. One phrase was looping again and again. The bird returns to the shelf. That's Evan's phrase, I said. She nodded. We traced it back to a signature node. We think Evan's embedded. Or he's defected. Defected to who? We don't know, she admitted. But someone is building counter-echoes. Misinformation loops. Your signal helped us isolate it. So what do I do now? I asked. You trace it to the source, she said. You go back into the system, but this time, we give you admin access. She handed me a slim device with a single button. This bypasses the script. You'll see the system behind the system. I stared at the device. And if I fail? She shrugged. You won't remember this place. I didn't know if she meant memory wipe or psych breakdown. But something in me clicked. I was in. I pressed the button. The system loaded like an old video game. Jagged graphics, blinking commands, no help button. I was in a virtual call dashboard. Only this one showed live metadata for every conversation. Lines of code streamed down the screen as people spoke. The interface pulsed around phrases like reconnect, phase reversal, and signal mirror. I clicked into a call and heard it live. A voice repeated, "It's not real if it's not remembered." Then silence. Then a whisper, "They found us." My heart hammered. I clicked deeper, activating the device I was given. The screen shimmered and showed me something I hadn't expected, my own call logs. Not just from Open Echo. From years back. Every voicemail I'd left. Every customer service chat I'd typed. All compiled. All part of a profile. I was never just answering calls. I was training the system. Feeding it. I searched for Evan. His node appeared active. The location tag said, Node 11, isolated. I pinged it. The screen froze. Then flickered. Then showed a video. Evan was sitting in a room, speaking directly into a camera. If you're seeing this, you found the breach. Good. But it's not over. They built this system to self-replicate. The moment you trace the code, it adapts. He leaned closer. There's no getting out now, Ben. There's only deeper. Then he disappeared. The screen went black. A single word appeared, initiate. I clicked it. Everything around me dissolved into white noise. A loading screen appeared. Phase 4, cognitive distortion. And then I heard my own voice, recorded, distorted, asking, how can I assist you? I staggered back as the voice echoed, my voice, warped and metallic. How can I assist you? It repeated, over and over, glitching like a skipping record. The lights pulsed red. I tried to stand, but the booth around me was gone. I was in an open space now, an endless white room with no walls. Floating fragments of conversations buzzed past me like fireflies. Phase reversal. It's not over. Then is the breach. That last one stopped me cold. A shadow stepped forward. It looked like me. Not just similar, identical. It tilted its head. You tried to see the system, it said in my voice. Now the system sees you. What is this? I asked. Phase 4, it said. Cognitive distortion. The loop begins here. I backed away. I want out. There is no out, it replied. Only resolution. It raised a hand. The floating call fragments swirled and formed a ring around us, spinning faster. We are the product, it said. Our thoughts, our questions, our fear, their currency. Then everything froze. One voice pierced through. Evans. Ben. Remember the note. Trust the ones who hesitate. The shadow lunged at me. I grabbed the device from my pocket and slammed the button again. The light shattered. The booth reappeared. I gasped, back in the laundromat, sweating through my shirt. The machine I'd entered was still humming like nothing had happened. Had it all been in my head? Or worse, was I still inside it? I stepped outside. My phone buzzed. A text from a new number. Note 11 breached. Final phase incoming. I looked up. The streetlights flickered. The system wasn't done with me yet. I didn't sleep that night. I just paced my apartment, staring at my laptop like it might sprout a face and explain everything. At 3:12 a.m., another message arrived. Final phase begins at dawn. Prepare. I had no idea how to prepare for something that felt both real and simulated, but I packed a backpack anyway, water bottle, notebook, the device, and, weirdly, a pair of sunglasses. At 6:01 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Node location confirmed. Look east. I opened the blinds. A single red balloon floated above the parking lot across the street. I ran. At the base of the balloon string was an envelope taped to a lamppost. You are the anomaly. Enter the field. Underneath was a QR code. I scanned it. My phone opened a real-time map with a pulsing dot moving fast toward me. I panicked. Then a black car pulled up. Window rolled down. It was Evan. Get in, he said. No time to explain. We sped through city streets like fugitives from our own minds. They're collapsing the system, Evan said, eyes on the mirror. You were never supposed to get this far. Why me? I asked. Because you hesitated. You questioned. You broke the loop. We drove until the skyline thinned into old warehouses. One had an Open Echo logo, cracked, faded. This is where it started, Evan said. And this is where it ends. We got out. He handed me a USB drive. Everything you need is in here. But you have to upload it. From the inside. Inside what? I asked. The server core. The source. It's in there. I stared at the building. Lights flickering, cameras scanning. And if I don't? He looked at me. Then we all stay in the loop. Forever. I took the drive. The final phase wasn't coming. It was already here. The building groaned as we stepped inside, concrete and dust swallowing us in silence. Evan moved with purpose, guiding me down a narrow stairwell lit only by emergency lights that flickered like bad memories. At the bottom was a thick metal door with no handle. He held up the USB drive. This is the key, he said, then slid it into a small slot on the wall. The door clicked open. Inside was a circular room with hundreds of tiny screens and one enormous server tower in the center, humming like it knew secrets. Plug it in there, Evan said, pointing to the tower. I approached, palms sweating, and shoved the drive into the port. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the room shifted. Lights flashed. The screens lit up, showing moments from my life. Phone calls, chats, dreams I didn't remember having. Evan looked stunned. They didn't just use you, he said. They modeled you. You're the replica. My stomach dropped. What? You were part of the system. A duplicate they trained to think it was real. I stumbled back. So I'm not me? Evan shook his head. You are now. You're the one who questioned. That's what made you real. I didn't know what to believe, but the tower was rebooting. The system around us began collapsing. Phrases on the screens looped faster. Exit the loop. Exit the loop. Exit. A voice came through the speakers. Candace. Ben. Don't. Shut. It. Down. I reached for the power switch. Evan nodded. This is the only way. My hand hovered. What happens if I do? You end the loop. You free everyone stuck in echo. I looked around at the screens, the voices, the ghost of my own life flickering like static. Then I flipped the switch, and everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was on a park bench. Morning sun. Birds chirping. A jogger ran past me and nodded like I belonged. My backpack was at my feet. The USB drive was gone. I checked my phone, empty. No calls. No messages. Just a single app one didn't recognize. Echo Clean. I tapped it. A single message appeared. Thank you for completing your cycle. My stomach turned. Was it over? Did I actually shut it down? I stood slowly. Everything felt normal. Too normal. Back home, the wall where I'd pinned maps and notes was blank. My laptop had been wiped clean. No files. No logs. No trace of anything. Like the system had swallowed itself. I tried to contact Evan. Number not in service. I Googled Open Echo. No results. Not even cached ones. I went to the laundromat. It was gone. Just an empty storefront with a for lease sign. It was like the whole thing had been scrubbed. Or maybe it had never been real. I sat on my couch in the silence of my apartment and stared at nothing for a long time. Then, finally, I went to bed. I slept for 12 hours. When I woke up, I made coffee, opened my email, and started looking for a new job. A normal one. Customer service, maybe. Something boring. Something real. And then my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I answered. Welcome to Echo Support, the voice said. This is Ben. How can I assist you? My blood ran cold. It was my voice. Recorded. Automated. Looping back. I dropped the phone. It kept talking. Ben. 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 The screen flashed. Cycle restarting. I laughed, quiet, wild, a little broken. Then I whispered, of course it is.